Oleksandr Usyk and Daniel Dubois are scheduled to battle out for the undisputed heavyweight crown in a fitting setting at the iconic Wembley Stadium in London. This fight comes nearly 2 years after their first clash, a fight that gave us big controversy around Daniel Dubois' body shot landed in round 5 that dropped and hurt Usyk, leaving many fans and pundits alike split on whether it was a low blow or not. Regardless, the Ukrainian got up and went on to win the fight by TKO victory in convincing fashion. But since then, the heavyweight landscape has shifted. Usyk went on to unify all 4 titles with his historic win over Tyson Fury in 2024, becoming the first undisputed heavyweight champion in over 2 decades. However, he later vacated the IBF belt after choosing not to face his mandatory challenger, opting instead to run it back with Fury. In that rematch, at least in my opinion, Usyk won even more convincingly. Dubois, on the other hand, had gone about rebuilding himself after that disappointing loss, racking up 3 impressive wins and earning an elevation to the IBF champion. Those victories came against Jarrell Miller, Filip Hrgovic, and most notably, a devastating knockout over former champion Anthony Joshua. Now, with a renewed sense of confidence, Dubois is looking to impose himself, not just to claim redemption for the first fight, but to become the undisputed champion in his own right.
It's in the past now, it's happened, I get a chance to put that wrong right and clear up the controversy, I can't wait to put him to sleep on the night.
For Usyk at 38 years old, he's coming to the end of his career, and this fight is about cementing his legacy and shutting the door on any controversy once and for all. He wants to prove that the first fight outcome was no fluke. With the low blow debate aside, the winner will either solidify the current era or completely shake up the heavyweight landscape once again. Pride, titles and legacy are on the line, and this stage is set for an intense showdown, as proven in the build-up. So in today's tactical overview, I'm going to take a look back at the first fight, what worked for both men, while considering what has happened since the first encounter, and how tactically and psychologically this could play into this fight. So on that note, let's get right into it.
Let's get it. Let's go. Let's go.
It's important to have a look at the first fight and how this played out, as a lot of what happened here could play out in the second fight. And in the opening round, in typical southpaw orthodox fashion, there was that lead hand battle between the two as they looked to establish centre ring dominance. Usyk, as expected, is a master at this, using that playful lead hand to distract, feint and create movement to set up his bigger punches from a different angle.
You see it here now, Dubois having the edge back. Fantastic straight left hand from Usyk.
A big part of Daniel's style is landing that ramrod jab against his competitors. But due to the stance positioning and Usyk's quick pendulum steps back, along with lead parries and blocks, this actually helped neutralise and deflect it for most of the fight, and was actually something he really struggled to get off, unlike with Usyk, whose lead hand game is built around his whole style. One of the things I loved that he used throughout the whole fight was that use of the inside slip spear jab while getting his foot on the outside against Dubois.
Little bounce to his step, and he bounces back. Usyk's going to jump on that space.
Furthermore, his quick pendulum footwork would sharply get him into range before moving out to his right.
Usyk tried to punish him with that left hand.
To confuse things more for Dubois, he would actually start adding his left hand behind it, creating more indecision for Daniel in terms of what he should do defensively.
Usyk backs him up again with a body by Josh.
But it's the constant level changes, feints with the lead hand that simply do this. Is he going to attack the body or head? Is he going to slip inside and throw the spear jab? Or is he going to throw over the top? And naturally this put a lot of pressure on Dubois to back up, which of course is not his natural position to be in, forcing him on the back foot. Not to mention there were times where that just constant motion from Usyk would make Dubois pause in front of him, allowing Usyk to attack with hard lead left hands. All this use of level changes, foot feints, lead hand circling are really all a way to set up his bigger punches, with his backhand to the body and head, while getting that outside foot position when he attacks, moving off to the outside angle, making Dubois off balance or having to turn. And even sometimes just touching Dubois' lead hand or pulling it down would be enough to distract and launch the left right down the line. But one of the big negatives around Daniel Dubois' stance is it's not that tight, as he is a more offensive-minded fighter, looking to land that jab and throw hard right hands. It's not like Anthony Joshua, who used that tight high guard in the second fight to try close the range on Usyk. Dubois has many openings within his stance, whether that's going to the body, slipping inside, or going over the top of the lead hand. And the Ukrainian clearly picked that up in these rounds, as he started throwing hard jabs over in a kind of swivel jab motion, creating more power behind it.
To the last 20 seconds of it.
For me, it was a lot of this early round work by Usyk that led to Daniel's downfall in the second half of the fight. But what did Daniel do well in these early rounds? Well, he did have moments of success where he committed to his combinations, forcing Usyk to reset his position and circle to his left or right.
The smarts in the ring are so good. That's better from Dubois. So no idea there from Dubois, didn't get much success from him. Dubois got Usyk in the corner, or Usyk was in the corner.
While that hard right hand to the body followed by a left hook upstairs seemed to also catch Usyk off guard. And on only a couple of occasions he actually doubled up the jab, forcing Usyk to back up. Instead of just throwing hard jabs, he would continually get caught up in this lead hand battle. But a lot of that actually comes down to Usyk imposing his game plan on you. There was also early signs of Daniel going to the body in these rounds. When Usyk throws a big left, he tends to move out to his right straight after, which Daniel would occasionally slip the punch, putting his weight in the back foot before putting the power behind a right uppercut to the body or head. While he also caught out Usyk's spear jab with this, going to the body again. The backhands always play a key part in open stance battles, and Daniel's hard right hand to the body or up top are going to be key in the rematch. But it's all about timing it, when he commits just a little bit longer than he should. And as just mentioned, throwing that left hook behind it seemed to catch him, especially as he moves out to that outside angle. Nevertheless, Usyk, being the intelligent fighter that he is, would catch on to Dubois doing this, and he would start to neutralise it by stepping back and deflecting it with his lead hand before looking to counter back. However, the big turning point in the fight was in round 5 with the low blow body punch.
Swelling after just starting to close a bit. Low blow from Dubois.
Which clearly hurt Usyk. It took him 5 minutes to recover. Now in my opinion, this was a low blow, as the majority of his glove was clearly below the belt line when it landed. No doubt this did give Daniel a little psychological edge in terms of knowing he could hurt him. But also in a way, this was a bad thing, as it really did light a fire in Usyk to step up the pace even more. For the rest of the round and the fight, he would attempt to land that hard right hand to the body. But Usyk, maybe rightly so, would try and counter it or take the sting off by moving back or blocking it with his left elbow. But as I mentioned before, a lot of what had happened in those first 4 rounds had taken Daniel's confidence, and he looked quite lost, as he still found himself getting drawn into that lead hand battle, which he was just never going to win. This in turn kept allowing Usyk to land his left and get the outside position. Dubois, in my opinion, was also physically and mentally just getting tired, trying to keep up at the pace Usyk was fighting at.
I think he was in that much trouble. That's a good shot. Yeah, it's another excellent shot, isn't it, from Usyk, and these start to have a cumulative effect. But absolutely brilliant. Shot again. And again from Usyk, warms to the task.
And because of this, Daniel's lead hand was starting to get lower and lower, allowing Usyk to now land those hard rights over the top of it.
Championship. Oh, lovely. The footwork there to make...
And it must be demoralising when you have that little bit of success against Usyk, as he uses that great pendulum footwork to get out of range before coming right back in, controlling the space with his lead hand and throwing in combinations, while pushing you back with his footwork and turning you continuously. This was shown at the end of round 8. Daniel just couldn't get a grip of the momentum coming forward. Daniel's corner was screaming at him to use more head movement, but in actual fact this turned out to be an advantage for Usyk. This is quite uncharacteristically of Dubois' style, is moving his head continuously. As he slipped and moved his head to his left with his guard down, it gave Usyk the opportunity to attack as he moved his head back right in the line of attack, while he was off balance moving backward to get the first knockdown of the fight.
That was great work again from Usyk, and Dubois touchdown! You'll see it now. He gets caught with a really good shot, and he's not quite sure where he is. They have that shot there, he's not quite sure where he is. So he looks for the floor, and then thinks he can get up and then goes back down. He did the right thing, and that saves himself for another round.
In round 9 for me, I think it was a hurt, exhausted, mentally broken fighter that came out, with no answer to the versatility of Usyk. It was clear he was trying to stand his ground more, giving the Ukrainian more chance to land from that outside angle, landing with that swivel-like jab over the top, which of course would lead to the finish. Usyk initially threw the jab cross combo, forcing Daniel to reset, before Usyk immediately jumped on the opportunity with the power jab as he moved right across into the line, with his guard position down. This was, in my opinion, an absolutely dominating performance in terms of skill. Dubois simply just couldn't get his head around the movement, feints and lead hand of Usyk, and it was a fitting end to the fight that he actually finished it with his right hand. Now I want to start off with what might be required for Daniel Dubois to win. I think after this fight, many people had possibly given up hope of him ever bouncing back from this defeat. There's no doubt the recent form will have given him a newfound confidence, and going off those 3 KO wins versus Miller, Hrgovic and Joshua, we may see a far more aggressive Dubois early in the rematch. But from these 3 fights, Daniel throws a very hard jab. With Usyk being the southpaw and it being an open stance battle, it doesn't allow him to get off as much naturally. However, I still think he needs to try look to throw it hard towards Usyk. It doesn't necessarily need to land clean either. This is about pushing Usyk back and not letting him take the centre of the ring. It would be nice to see him go to the body or midsection with it a bit more instead of just headhunting, as this is a punch he doesn't really tend to throw or land that often. Nevertheless, with that being said, one of the things he has done well in these fights is throwing it in multiples. Not only to put his opponents on the back foot, but also to set up the right hand to the body or head behind it. Usyk does try to reset when opponents have been throwing in combination or even covering up, and this might be the only way to stop the momentum of him continuously coming forward. Furthermore, Daniel has been doing this to get on the inside positions so he can continue attacking and fighting, even using dirty tactics like leaning in with his head on the opponent's chest, making it a very uncomfortable position to be in. He is no doubt the bigger man versus Usyk again, so using his physicality in these positions and fighting off it might even get a big shot through to land. However, I feel Oleksandr has proved time and time again he can handle the bigger men in these positions, as he's very effective at smothering their work and letting the referee intervene before they can get any work off. While I think probably Chisora has been really the only heavyweight to be able to fight him in these positions consistently, but even so, Usyk managed to catch on and would start countering you. I still think Daniel in a way needs to take his opportunities in these positions before Usyk gets back to boxing. What I will say, because Usyk is the smaller man compared to guys like Fury, Joshua and even Dubois, he tends to get a little too close at times, and this is the perfect opportunity to test the body once again with the right hand. If Usyk tries to start fast and assert himself, he needs to target there early. This right to the body has been a clear weakness throughout his whole career. Even in his most recent fights versus Tyson Fury, he also had great success going there as well, as much as Usyk took them well. And Daniel just needs to be careful not to stray too low this time, as that low blow incident will be in the mind of the ref who's in charge. Another way we see Usyk get caught out is by the uppercut to the head at the close exchanges as well. Which in fact Dubois did try to do in the first fight. But mainly I think it's about mixing up the location with the right hand. He simply needs to try keep Usyk guessing himself and hesitant to completely commit, while if one gets through flush, it could be the game-changing punch for him. Furthermore, his timing when he commits with the lead hand or straight left may just present the opportunities for Dubois to land his counter right. Overall though, I think the key areas he needs to be better are to start off far more aggressively, looking to throw in multiples in combination, but throwing hard right hands to the head, chest and body to keep Usyk guessing. If he starts by getting drawn into Usyk's lead hand battle, he's just not going to win that. While I generally do think he needs to tighten up the guard just a little bit more, or just show a little bit better head movement than he did in the first fight. But I think he needs to try and impose himself early if he has any chance in this fight. If he gets drawn into the pace and rhythm of Usyk, he could very well be in for another long night. For Oleksandr Usyk, the blueprint is already there and it worked the first time, but that doesn't mean he can't approach the rematch on autopilot. What he needs to do is refine, not reinvent. First and foremost, Usyk must re-establish control of the lead hand battle from the outset, just like the first encounter. His ability to manipulate Dubois' lead hand using things like feints, level changes, and pendulum footwork was absolutely key in keeping Dubois on the back foot and guessing. Physically and mentally, the playful lead hand not only allowed Usyk to disrupt Dubois' jab, but also opened the door for his own straight lefts, spear jabs, and that swivel power jab over the top, and I very much expect him to bring the same energy again. As looking at Dubois' last 3 fights, he's continued to keep that same guard he used all the way back then, but has maybe improved in things like head movement and using his footwork to get out of danger. As seen in the first fight, that also plays right into Usyk's plan, in terms of pressing him back, or him looking to throw in combination as he moves his head. Nevertheless, he has to be alert early. Dubois will likely be more aggressive this time around, looking to assert himself in front of the home crowd. This means Usyk has to set the tone early with his own volume and movement, by not giving Daniel any belief that this fight is going to be any different. I think going into this fight, no doubt his team will have worked on defending the right hand to the body, even putting him in positions where he's not going to get hit there. It could maybe make the case that Dubois landed too freely at times, and while he recovered well from that low blow, you'll know this will have given Dubois confidence to target this in this fight. He also has to be mindful of Dubois' improved jab and combination work. As discussed in his recent fights, Dubois has done well in doubling and tripling up the jab more often, which also creates space for that right hand, and I think Usyk just needs to be aware of that coming in. We've also seen Usyk overcommit with the entries as he gets a little too close. Even in the Fury fights he was doing this more recently. I really do think he's going to be mindful to avoid those close exchanges too often, making sure his feet are active, looking to exit on the outside angle, while making sure to cover up if he does back away in a straight line before moving out. While that pendulum footwork when they're standing toe to toe can make Dubois kind of hesitate at times. And that's what it's about, keeping up unpredictable patterns that Dubois can't get hold of. Another aspect is just not falling asleep in the clinch. Dubois has shown more willingness to use his size and lean in and try and make it a messy encounter. So smothering his punches, controlling his posture and forcing the referee to reset is another essential thing for Usyk, especially if he's having to exit off himself. And for me, he can't afford to coast on the assumption Dubois will unravel or try to prove a point against him. Personally, I just think he needs to fight at his tempo. And this was his biggest weapon in the first fight. He made Dubois fight at a pace he wasn't comfortable with, forcing mistakes and punishing him. And although Dubois might come out very fast in this fight, one thing is for sure we've seen in the past: Usyk can do it for all 12 rounds. And if Usyk stays calm and sticks to the game plan, he'll no doubt once again start to take over as the rounds go on. But overall, he needs to be sharper early, being mindful of the body attacks and combinations that are going to be thrown at him. If he wins the lead hand battle and maintains his pace, we could very well see another masterclass. But at 38, and 2 tough fights against Fury, the question I ask myself: does he still have it in him? This rematch is more than just unfinished business. It's a clash between a fighter on the rise once again, and one at the summit. But for how long? Daniel has come a long way since that first meeting. You can make the case he's now stronger and more experienced, now carrying that mental confidence after 3 convincing knockout wins. And with that confidence comes belief. Belief that he can inflict damage on Usyk this time, and more importantly, finish the job. But standing in front of him is one of the smartest, most adaptable and greatest fighters of this era. Oleksandr Usyk has already seen Dubois once and figured him out and broken him down, while also going on to beat Tyson Fury after. Not once, but twice. If he continues being switched on, keeps the tempo high, and wins that all-important battle of footwork and positioning, we could just see another masterclass. For Dubois to win, he simply needs to take the risks early and start aggressively. He has to go to that body, push Usyk back, and throw in combinations before the Ukrainian finds any rhythm. But if Usyk sets the terms early and starts dictating the pace and distance, it could just be another long and frustrating night for the Brit. Will Dubois continue his redemption story by beating the very best, or will we get another reminder of just how good Oleksandr Usyk truly is? Hope you enjoyed this tactical breakdown. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the fight. Do you think Daniel Dubois has what it takes to win this rematch? Or will Usyk continue his dominance and become a 3-time undisputed champion? I'd love to know. Make sure to check out my link in the description below if you want to buy the pay-per-view for Daniel Dubois vs Usyk, which will be live on DAZN. As always guys, this has been Jamie from Boxing Life. Enjoy the fight when it comes, and I'll see you in the next one.